Okay, so welcome to the third episode of my Python course. In this episode, we will learn about the 4 different Python data types and learn how to create and do cool stuff with variables. Alright, first, what are variables? Well, I like to think of them as a box in which you can store stuff, specifically data, and you can give these boxes a name, allowing you to access or change their value later. We'll get on to creating variables in Python in a bit. But now I want to focus on the data our variable can store, specifically what kind of data it can store. And so there are 4 types of data that can be stored in variables. Firstly, integers. These are any whole numbers, so like 8 or 284, 0 or negative 43. Pretty straightforward. Now on to floats. These are numbers with a decimal point, like 34.6, or negative 9.74, or even 4.0. Now 4.0 may seem a bit weird, because it is the same value as just 4, but since it has a decimal point, it is a float. Next we have booleans, and these are pretty simple as well. They can either be true or false. Notice how the first letter of these have to be capital. Lastly, strings. And you've briefly met these in the last episode when we were doing print statements. And these are just a sequence of characters, including letters, symbols, or numbers. So strings are basically just text. And you need to write these wrapped with quote marks. So some examples are hello, or muffins, or even 8.13. These are all strings. Even 8.13, which may look like a float, but it is in fact a string as it is wrapped in quote marks. Alright, notice how I've used single quotes for hello and 8.13, but double quotes for muffins. It doesn't matter which ones you use, both will work, just don't mix and match them. So something like this would not work because we're using doubles here and singles here. So these were data types, and now I'm gonna jump back to variables. And remember, these were boxes which store data. So in order to create them in Python, you would simply type out the name of the variable. I'm just going to call it A and then assign a value to it. You would do this by using the equals sign. I'll make this a float 9.0. Now let's try outputting this variable. And we would do that the same way as we did in our last episode using the print statement. And then typing the name of the variable A. Let's run it. And you see it writes 9.0 to the console. What if we move this print statement to here? And let's try running it. We will get an error because we haven't defined A yet. So we're asking the computer to print out A when it hasn't not even been defined yet. So it's important to consider the sequence of your program. If we move this back here, you'll see it will run because we have defined A. We can also define another variable, B, and we can set that to 8.4. And then let's try printing the sum of both of these variables. So let's print A plus B. You see it gives us the sum of A and B. Okay, what if we make 9.0 into an integer by removing the decimal point? Will it still work? The answer is yes. But what if it was a string? No. You can't add a string to a float. We get an error, as you can see here. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you some more cool stuff we can do with variables. Alright, so if you want to check the type of a variable, you would do that by using the type function. Let's check the type of variable A. You can see it tells us it's an integer. Let's try doing it with B, and that's a float. Okay, what if we change 9 back to 9.0? And I'm going to show you something how you can convert this float to an integer. We'll do that by doing int 9.0. We get 9. What if we do int 9.7? We get 9. Since integers can only be whole numbers, this will be rounded down to 9. We can also convert it to a string, as you can see here. We can even change the value of variables later in the program. So we can make a new variable called A, and we can set it equal to hello. This is a string. And we can print A, and if we run it, we see it prints hello. But then later we can change the value of A to maybe goodbye. Alright, and let's try printing A again right here. And when we run our program, you see the first time it prints A as hello because that's what A is equal to. But then A's value is changed to goodbye. so it prints out goodbye, as that's the new value of a. Maybe a fun experiment for you guys would be to try and convert an integer to a boolean and see what happens. And now it won't just give you an error. Seriously, try it out. Alright, thanks for watching this video. Like the video if you liked it, and comment any questions or video suggestions you might have. See you in the next one.